So Ron Haggerty over at his Vinyl Sanctuary is close to 1,000 subscribers. I think he's at 850 or something close. Regardless of the number, that's awesome, Ron. Congratulations to you. You make awesome content. I love watching your videos. They're usually metal-based in some way, so they've got lots for me. But regardless, again, fantastic. I'm going to leave a link to Ron's channel in the description of this video. Check him out, hang out with him. He's a great time. But back to my original point, he's close to 1,000 subscribers now, and when he reached 1,000 subscribers, he was going to release this thread or this challenge out to the vinyl community. But he decided to do it early, and I'm super thankful for that because I love making these kinds of videos. Frankly, they're the funnest thing about the vinyl community for me. So I'm going to get right into the records. If you notice my eyes going to the right or to the left or whatever side it ends up being, I'm just reading the questions out on my laptop here. So question number 1 is show a one-off band, a band with only one studio album. I think I've shown quite a few throughout my videos, so I didn't want to repeat one that I've shown already. So I've never showed this one, but I've talked about it a few times, I believe. This is Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, LAMF, or Like a Motherfucker. Fantastic early punk rock record from '77. This is out on Jungle Records. It does say, well, I would say it's the Lost 77 mixes, but that's all it is. It doesn't change the fact that it's the same studio album or anything. But yeah, this is their one studio album. For those unaware, Johnny Thunders was the original lead guitarist in the New York Dolls up until their breakup, and then he formed his own band. In my opinion, the Johnny Thunders solo project blows the New York Dolls out of the water. I know the New York Dolls, their short career is renowned for rock music and for punk. Super well deserved, but I find this is leaps and bounds better. New York Dolls is a lot more rocky, a lot more kind of sleaze rock, where this is more full-on punk rock, in my opinion. It's still very bluesy and garagey, but it's got a punk rock attitude. And there's an awesome songwriting collaboration with Dee Dee Ramone on Chinese Rocks, so that's always a plus. Definitely pick it up if you've never heard it before. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, in my opinion, the superior Heartbreakers. No offense to Tom Petty, but yeah, he takes it from me. Question number 2 is show two of a kind, 2 album titles or band names that are the same. So I just thought of it now. I could have shown the Subhumans from Canada and the Subhumans from the UK, but I decided to show 2 bands that share the same name. Death. This is, of course, legendary Florida death metal legends. First record, Scream Bloody Gore. Nice cover by Ed Repka. In my opinion, this is the best death record that they ever produced. I'm a sucker for the old stuff, I guess. It's a lot more raw and aggressive and just emotional, in my opinion. This is an original on, on Cobra. I was talking about Cobra Core the other day. This is an original on Cobra. No insert or anything, just regular black vinyl. Yeah, this is legendary stuff. This is the template for so many death metal bands that came after them, and so many death metal bands that are still formed today. I truly believe that if Death hadn't done their part in the movement, that metal and death metal wouldn't be what it is today. So props to Chuck Schuldiner, and rest in peace for sure. So the next band that I have, I'm going to refresh my laptop. The next band that I have that is named Death came about 15 years earlier. This is Death for the Whole World to See. This is a kind of I guess, proto-punk, they call it, like a pre-punk rock band, formed by 3 brothers with the last name Hackney in 1971. They went into the studio in '75 to record a 12-song record, and they met with some labels, I believe, and the labels said to them, "We're never going to release a record by a band named Death. You have to change the name." And because they refused to do so, they only could afford to record 7 songs. It's got just a nice little lyric sheet here. So they could only record 7 of the 12 songs, and because they had no label support, they kind of just sat on the shelf for the better part of 40 years, I guess. In 2009, it was finally released, and this is what we got. And the reception was so great that the band got back together. The two brothers that were remaining alive got a new guitar player, and they're still playing today. So this is really, really fantastic stuff. Super overlooked and underrated. So there's also a great documentary, actually. I believe it's called A Band Named Death, or A Band Called Death. I actually haven't watched it before, but I hear great things. This is excellent music, and I highly recommend it if you've never heard it before. If you're into early kind of proto punk rock, like they call it, so New York Dolls, MC5, stuff like that, really check this out. You'll be blown away by how heavy and how riffy it is for the time, being recorded in '75. So Death, check it out. Check both Deaths out. Question 3 is Third Time's a Charm, a band that took 3 albums to click. So this is kind of lame of me to say, but I don't have a hard time taking albums or records kind of based on their own merit. I can appreciate a product of its time as well as a product that was created under certain constraints. So I have a hard time disliking things, I guess, if it comes to the kinds of music that I like, but I still think I can answer the question properly. I guess the reason I'm saying that is because I have a hard time picking out a band that has, you know, 2 shitty first records and a great third one, or even 2 mediocre ones and a third one, because if I like a band, I genuinely dig all of their stuff. So anyway, I'll explain my answer. Excuse me. This is The Damned with Machine Gun Etiquette. I actually talked about Captain Sensible the other day, the guitar player of The Damned. I talked about his solo album, his first solo album. So, you know, as the question says, this is their 3rd album. It came out in '79 on Chiswick, I believe. Yep. This is a recent reissue. It's got a really nice insert here. Kind of a comic strip. Teaches you how to play Smash It Up. And some nice pictures of the band. Just on black vinyl. But anyway, so to the explanation. So, for those who don't know, The Damned is one of the first punk rock bands out of the UK. And on their first 2 albums, they were led by a guy named Brian James, who wrote 90% of the material. He left. The first record is total straight up punk rock record. Second record is a lot more artsy and more experimental. It's still punk rock, but it is more experimental and out there. And then he left, and then The Damned carried on. The other guys took over and in the songwriting, and they pressed on. And to a lot of people, Machine Gun Etiquette is The Damned's best record. And after this, with 1980s Black Album, they would take on a really gothic kind of image and approach to their music, while keeping with punk rock. That's continued to this day, you know, 40 years later. So, in my opinion, The Damned really became The Damned with this record. You know, they still play stuff off the 2 first albums because they are classic. But again, to me, this is where The Damned really began. You know, in its current incarnation, with Dave Vanian, the vocalist, really leading the band. So, excellent stuff. If you haven't listened to it before, highly recommended. Love this stuff. Next up is 4 in a row. Show a band that has 4 perfect albums. So this is a really cool one. I'm going to show a band that only has 4 albums, but they're all, to me, flawless. And they were all released, I believe, between 2003 and 2009. Well, we'll see in a second. I'll confirm the dates. But anyway, it's also kind of cool because just before I show the records, I'll just say quickly, I bought the first of the 4 that I owned when I first started buying records, like when I was 14 or 15, and I got the 4th one that I needed just last year. So it's almost taken me my entire record collecting career to gather the 4 studio albums. They do have they have a ton of singles that I got some. I have some of the singles as well, but they do have a ton of singles with, you know, exclusive B-sides, and they have compiled them all into a comp, but I haven't bought it yet. But anyway, so this is a punk rock band out of Texas. This is the Marked Men. Very garagey, super melodic, super catchy stuff. This one here is an original on Ripoff. Let's just confirm the date here. 2003, yeah. And this one, just regular black vinyl, but no insert or anything. But yeah, Marked Men with their first album. Definitely recommended if you've never heard them before. You know, so this is their first album. Next up, we've got On the Outside. This is the first one that I got. So I got this one I believe in either in Maine or in Boston when I was on a trip. But yeah, I picked this up. I think at either Bull Moose Records or Newberry Comics. Anyway, it was a good shop. No insert in this one either. Just plain black vinyl. This is on Dirt Nap. This is their third album, Fix My Brain. This is the last one that I got. I got this one last year. I completed the quadrilogy finally after, you know, close to 15 years. Awesome, awesome record. This might be my favorite. This one also is on Dirt Nap. And it's just black, no insert. Nope. Handle that later. And finally, with their fourth album, Ghosts, which came out in 2009. And I bought this, I remember, or 2008, sorry. I bought this the year it came out. I was working at a record shop, and I got it the day we got it at the shop. I couldn't wait. And yeah, so earlier I mistakenly said between 2003 and 2009. I guess 2003 and 2008 is when all their stuff came out. So it's been 12 years since they've released a new album, which kind of sucks, so I don't really imagine they will. But who knows? They do have a ton of side bands, you know, throughout the guys themselves. Just regular black vinyl again. Mind Spiders is one. Radioactivity is another. So they're super busy with their other bands. So I think the Markmen, although still unofficially, they're still together. I don't really think they are. But anyway, they've got those 4 records are perfect. And check them out right now. Like you'll all love it. Question 5 is the 5th dimension. So show a band or show something that, or a song or a record or a band that has to do with space or the unknown. So I decided to show a punk rock band from Portland, Oregon. This is their first record from 2009. This is the Mean Jeans with Are You Serious? This is really fun stuff, like just really catchy, silly, kind of doesn't take itself serious punk rock. But the song Space Trash is on here, basically about having the world be sick of you and sending you up to space to rot, and being in space and being aware of floating around, knocking into shit and not being able to control anything. So it's fun. This here, just regular black vinyl, but it does have a cool insert I'll show you. We've got just kind of some credits here, and a really, really nice lyric sheet, you know, with some custom titles and little pictures and things. So yeah, that's Mean Jeans, also on Dirt Nap for the 5th dimension. Next song we've got, our next question is show, for number 6, is show a 6-member band or an album with 6 members. So I kind of cheated a little bit, maybe not, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I did show a compilation album. It's an anthology. This is the Essential Radio Birdman, another kind of proto-punk, I guess you could call it, band out of Australia. What's his name? Dennis Tech, the guitar player, grew up in Michigan and moved to Australia kind of as a teen and formed the band with Rob Younger, the vocalist. And for most of their run, like this covers everything from 74 to 78. So this was during their first period as an active band. For, I think, everything except for one single, or maybe 2, they were a 6-piece band. So 2 guitar players, bassist, drummer, vocalist, and a keyboard player. This is excellent, excellent music. This is a really wicked compilation that came out on Sub Pop in 2001. What's really cool about it, there's some really cool kind of essays here and liner notes and some trivia. And what's cool about this, I'll show you, it's regular black vinyl with, you know, those typical reliable Sub Pop labels. But what's really cool about this is that the CD version and the streamable version have everything on these 2 records, but the vinyl edition, which is a nice kind of bonus because we always kind of get screwed, has a bonus in itself. So it's got the Australian version of New Race, which was obviously exclusively released in Australia, with their cover of TVI by the Stooges. So this is a really cool little bonus that was exclusive to the vinyl release, so super happy to have it. So for a band with 6 members, check out Radio Birdman if you haven't heard them before. Some of the coolest, heaviest, progressive, most progressive stuff that was coming out at the time. Really groundbreaking and really, really underrated. So check it out if you haven't heard it before. Question 7 we've got, because for a lot of people, 7 is a spiritual number or the number of God. This is show a band name, an album title, or a song title with God in it. And ideally in a non-insulting way, like not a curse word or cursing against a god or something. So I decided to show an album, probably my own, maybe one of my only blues albums. I think maybe the only blues album I own. This is Blind Willie Johnson with Praise God, I'm Satisfied. This came out on Yazoo Records. This is a compilation of a lot of his early, well, I guess of his music. He was, I believe, blind, based on the name. I believe he was fully blind. He would sing gospel songs, I believe, on the side of the street, kind of picking up spare change where he could and recording when he could. So all of this stuff, I'm speaking about it kind of freely, but I don't know everything. So if I made any mistakes, please correct me. But this is really brilliant, very gospel, very spiritual music. I think the earliest track on here is recorded in 1927, and the latest is recorded in 1930. So it's really, really beautiful and really raw. And really expressive music. It was funny because I was talking with my uncle last night at my folks' place for a barbecue. I was talking about blues and how he is a big fan of the blues, and I was saying I never got into the blues, and to this day I still don't consider myself a blues guy or a blues fan at all. But I do like older kind of blues based on this. And he said, "Oh yes," and we were talking about blues, and it was funny because just the day before that I was talking to Cosmic Brian. He was showing off some blues records, and he was talking about how all the best blues guys either have Howlin' in their name or Blind in their name. So happy to be able to show this one today. So kind of funny having a couple blues conversations in a few days and showing this one now. So I don't know much about him. I don't know much about his career. I just know that I found this at a record shop 5-6 years ago, and it was really intriguing to me, and I really just wanted to have it based on the date of the recordings and based on the essay in the back, the write-up here. So it's brilliant. I love it. There's no real insert, but there is kind of a cool, very nice custom Yazoo label and kind of an insert flyer, I guess you could say, as an inner sleeve. So Blind Willie Johnson for question 7. Number 8 is I guess to a lot of people, the number that symbolizes unity. So show a song about unity. My kind of go-to song about a brotherhood or a sisterhood or a collective consciousness of positivity is always Coxbar with their song "We're Coming Back." This is off their second record, Shock Troops. These guys are phenomenal. This is really excellent early kind of oi or street punk or whatever the designation is. But yeah, the song "We're Coming Back" is very much a pick-me-up song. A very, if you're down. I'll read you the lyrics in a second, but I just want to show. This is a really cool custom. I don't think you can see it in the light here, but it's a very cool custom Coxbar embossed inner sleeve. And it's on a really cool kind of pinwheel vinyl, so I figured I'd show you that just quick. There you go. That's pretty cool. All right, so let me read those lyrics to you. I always like them. I always feel like whenever I'm sad or I feel like my kids are down or like there's been times when they've been really sad or they've been, crying in the car or whatever, and I'll put this song on for them and I'll say, listen to the words. This is how I feel about you. And anyway, it's made them feel better, so that's kind of why as soon as I read the question, the song jumped out to me. So, we're coming back, we're coming back, we're coming back to you. We're never going to go away again. Hold on a little longer, try a little harder, till we're arm in arm together to the end. So remember out there, somewhere you've got a friend, and you'll never walk alone again. So, that to me kind of screams unity. So, props to Coxbar for making a great record and answering the question. Question 9 is number of finality or completion. So show the last album to feature a member. Again, lots of records I could have shown. This is one that I haven't talked about this band much. I've listened to them, for most of my life. I love them very much. I just haven't had an opportunity to mention them. So I jumped on it today. This is Sepultura with Roots. Their last album to feature founder, rhythm guitarist and lead singer, leader, everything, Max Cavalera. This is very good. It's probably my least favorite release with Max, just because it's very, very heavily influenced from nu metal and like bands like Korn and the stuff, Deftones and things that were going on in the mid-90s. This came out in 96. For a lot of people, Sepultura ended when Max left the band. I won't say that because I do enjoy the material, or most of the material that has come after. And as well, Max's brother, remained on drums for the better part of 15 years, 10, 12 years after Max left. So up until 4 or 5 years ago, there was a Cavalera in Sepultura. But Max, was Sepultura in many ways. So when he left, the band really had to readapt and change their sound. In my opinion, they should have changed their name. I mean, Sepultura was a very marketable name and remains so. So that's, I'm sure, why they kept it. Easier to book gigs under a band that people know than otherwise. But anyway. So yeah, in terms of a final album with a key member, I don't think you can get more key than this. So Sepultura with Roots. Number 10, last question, is the X factor. So show a band or an album or a song with X in the title. So that was easy. I decided to go with the band X. This is their third album, Under the Big Black Sun. This is awesome stuff. I talk about X quite a bit. I love that photo of the band. One of my favorites, actually. This is really good stuff. Great punk rock out of LA. This is an original on Elektra, an original Canadian pressing. It's got a really nice custom inner sleeve with lyrics to each song. These are really dark songs, very emotional. I believe Exene Cervenka, the female vocalist of the band, her sister passed away while driving to an X show. And there's a lot of lyrics that deal with her death directly. She calls her out by name, and it's a very emotional record, very dark, but really, really good at the same time. Very punk rock. It's not a downer record at all. So if you're fans of X and you haven't heard this record yet, that will be hard to believe. But if you want to get into some great new music, check out X. This is a great record to start with as well. So yeah, Under the Big Black Sun. So those were my 10 questions. Those are my answers to the 10 questions for Ron Haggerty's Vinyl Sanctuary, Close to 1,000 thread. Record's done now. That side's done, but I'll show you what I had on. This is Waves with Afraid of Heights. This is great punk rock. I don't know if you call it surf punk or psychedelic punk or whatever, but it's fairly recent. I don't know too much about this band. I know Nathan Williams, this guy here, is the leader and really the brains of the band. I think in more ways than one, he's probably one. In many ways, in more ways than one, I meant to say, I think Waves is his project entirely. Based on the credits, it's a lot of hired guns and things. Now this is Stephen Pope, who I believe is still with the band now. He joined in 2009, I think, which is when this record came out. Or no, this came out in 2013. Sorry. But anyway, Stephen Pope, he played bass with Jay Reatard for quite a while, right up until Jay Reatard died. Right before he died, he got sacked, or he left, or both him and the drummer for Jay Reatard, so his entire rhythm section, because they were just a three-piece band, quit and joined Waves. The drummer left after a while, after 2 or 3 records, I believe, but Stephen Pope is still with them. So he's been with Waves since 2009. That's why I think I said 2009 earlier. But anyway. Ugh, all that long-winded to say, this is Waves, and they're wicked. So very, very fun, surfy, psychedelic, great punk rock music. So thanks for listening to me ramble, as always. I hope you have a wonderful end of your weekend. Be kind to each other. Show love and support to others, because right now we all need a little bit of it. So thanks so much.